Hi everyone, it's Kathy Chenna with Tri-Cities Community TV, and we're located at the Coquitlam Public Library, and we'd like to thank them for the space, as well as we'd like to thank the Coquitlam First Nations people. Today with me is Glenn Brown, the Assistant Governor of the Tri-Cities for the Rotary Club, and we're going to talk about all things Rotary, and more than just polio, because that's what I learned about Rotary many, many years ago, the eradication of polio. That's what you're all known for, but you're known for so much more. So tell us some of the greatest and best things that you've been involved in, please, Glenn.
Well, hi, Kathy, and thank you. And first of all, we are that close to the end of polio. The numbers worldwide have plummeted, and Rotary has been a big part of that.
That's amazing.
So that's part of the global Rotary story, but really Rotary is all about clubs at the club level. And in the Tri-Cities area, there's 100 members of Rotary, and they're in 4 clubs in the Tri-Cities. There's clubs in Port Coquitlam, 2 clubs in Coquitlam, and the club that I'm a member of is the Rotary Club of Port Moody. And we all operate independently. Every club has got its own culture, but the 4 of us also collaborate and do a lot of work together.
Right, so you just came off a really big event right here in my backyard, Port Moody at Rocky Point.
Right.
And every year it seems to be getting bigger and bigger. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
I think maybe you're talking about RibFest. Yeah.
So when you talk about collaboration, do all of the 4 Rotary clubs get together for that big event? Do you combine yourselves, or is that just Port Moody only?
Well, we do and we don't. So at its core, it's the Rotary Club of Port Moody who's the sponsoring club of this particular event. And so we work with the city and the park and the rivers and organize the event. But it has got to be quite big, over 40,000 visitors over the weekend. And we just simply can't do it on our own. So we work closely with the other Rotary clubs. The 50-50 draw gets bigger every year, and the funds from the 50-50 are divided equally amongst the other clubs, and other clubs contribute to different aspects of its operation. And of course, it's not just the clubs, but we actually have over 400 volunteers that participate in that event. So it really is an event that captures the entire community, including our 4 clubs.
And people are coming from all over the Lower Mainland for this huge event, and there's entertainment, and there's ribs, and there's the sides that go with the ribs. Everything is just quite amazing. Where does some of this money go that you're really raising with these events around town?
Right. So let me tell you just a little bit about the 4 clubs.
Yes,
because they are engaged in different ways in the community. So the Rotary Club of Port Coquitlam, if you've been to the Mayday parade, it's the Rotary Mayday parade, and so that's a big deal for that particular Rotary Club. If you had a broken toaster or a broken lamp, maybe you took it to the repair café, right? So that's another Rotary Club initiative, right?
That's so great.
If you've been to Lafarge Lake Park and you've seen some of the gardening there, or Eagle Ridge Manor, then you've seen some of the work that the Rotary Club of Coquitlam Sunrise does in terms of maintaining and installing those gardens.
Right.
So the Rotary Club of Coquitlam are very much, I'm going to get back to the environmental issues. They had a really neat initiative called Cool Hoods, and it really focuses on developing a tree canopy in urban environments, as part of climate change, climate mitigation. And so Rotary is really moving down that environmental path, as is the Rotary Club of Port Moody, where we've developed trails in West Hill Park to support environmental learning in the school system. We do Rotary RIPS, so we take on all of these different kinds of initiatives. So I know we're going to talk a little about money. Where does all that RibFest money go? But what really attracts most Rotarians is the hands-on work, being able to go into, for instance, a facility like Intervisions, where men are working on healing their addictions and doing some hands-on work in those environments, or at Eagle Ridge Manor, facilities like that. the Rotary Club of Port Moody has a community grants program. So twice a year, we actually open it up to the community to try and get some of that money back and reinvest it in our community. So it goes to the fish hatchery, to programs within the school district. Occasionally, the police department will have needs. So we'll fund the purchase of some apparatus or equipment for various departments. We try and support the arts. There's a major mural underway in Port Moody right now, and some of those funds are going to financing that mural.
All 4 Rotary clubs participate in the Starfish Backpack program. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Right, so we know that food security is definitely a challenge in our community.
Yes.
And this was also a good example about how Rotary clubs can work together, because initially it was the Rotary Clubs of Port Coquitlam, the Rotary Club of Coquitlam Sunrise, that worked with the school district to talk about how they could mitigate food insecurity, at least at the school level. So they started off that particular initiative. As time progressed, the challenges identified, particularly within the school district, talking to some of the school teachers, some of the counselors, people within the school district, the needs within the school district became more apparent. So the project grew, not because we were trying to grow it, but because the needs were growing. So with that, there was more collaboration between the Rotary clubs to actually deliver on the program. So for instance, schools in Port Moody are now included within that particular initiative. And so once a week, Rotary Club members gather and they pick up the food and they distribute it to the schools in the district. And it really requires because we're delivering now to well over 200 students within the district. And you can think that that's impacting their families. So the number that are being assisted by this program is larger than that. And so it really takes the efforts of all 4 clubs to meet this need.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing program. I've heard about it so many times and even fundraised for it. And let's take a look at what that program looks like.
Come rain or shine, every Thursday morning, our dedicated volunteers show up to pack and deliver backpacks or boxes full of food to local schools. However, the need is far more than we can accommodate even now, after doubling our numbers in response to the pandemic. Feeding families with school-aged children in need is what the Starfish Backpack program is all about, and it's very near and dear to our hearts. Please contact us if you'd like to become involved, learn more, or to donate.
Our school population definitely has many more needs than just academic, and we find ourselves providing essential things like breakfast and lunch, and we are so grateful to the Rotary for providing us with Starfish backpacks, which give the kids some food over the weekend. Our families are so grateful and really need this service. Thank you so much for supporting them.
And welcome back. How many members are in your Port Moody Club?
So ours is the biggest club. We're about 40 members. And every year, there's a bit of turnover in clubs. I would say, just to step back just a minute, it's a changing environment for service clubs everywhere. This is a sort of a global phenomenon. People find different ways of participating in the community, find different ways of connecting with each other. So service clubs are seen as kind of a traditional way of connecting and providing service. But I have to say, with the Rotary Club of Port Moody and the other clubs in the area, they're very dynamic. They're responsive to those change, and it's really exciting to see new people come into the club and work with us.
Right, I totally agree. So I belonged to a service club for many, many years called the Optimist Club.
Right.
And I was a president for many years for the one in Coquitlam. And, I'm just wondering if on an overall basis you're seeing these clubs sort of slowly diminish, or have you not seen that with Rotary in itself? What are you guys growing? Are you not so much the club that you belong to, but we know that Rotary is a much larger organization and international. So
Yes.
let's just go back to that. How many clubs are there on an international level?
So, well, there's 1.2 million members, and I should have looked up the number. I think there's about 30 or 40,000 clubs. So when you look at Rotary on a global scale, the numbers are solid and even growing a little bit. And certainly in Asia, Africa, the numbers are growing. I would say in North America, membership is becoming a bit more of a challenge. It depends on clubs. Membership is very solid here within the Tri-Cities, but it really depends on the vibrancy of individual clubs. And certainly something like RibFest helps because it's a marquee event. People come to an event like that and they become aware of Rotary, and they see the potential impact of Rotary when you see events of that particular scale.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some smaller communities. Generally people are moving between urban and suburban areas. Life is changing. People spend more time commuting. Both parents are working, sort of finding time to invest in service becomes more challenging. But even there, we try and organize our club that we're responsive to the needs of everybody. So if your schedule doesn't allow you to come to a meeting every Wednesday at lunch, that's fine, because if your passion is helping out with our environmental events or maybe working on something like RibFest, then there's a fit for you.
Right. Do you also put on the Shreddathon in the Tri-Cities as well, in sort of the New Year timeline, or is that?
So in the Rotary Club of Port Moody, we've got three major fundraising events.
Mm-hmm.
So one is Shreddathon, and we do that twice a year.
Right.
And it's amazing just how popular
I
that
know,
event
it's
was.
crazy
It
popular.
really boomed post-COVID when people got a chance to clean their houses out, but it sustained itself. So twice a year we set up at City Hall. Best Shredding comes in with professional shredding trucks. People get into their closets. We try and time it with the end of tax season maybe, so people can get rid of a few tax files. But there are other obviously personal documents that people have around their house, and so it makes it nice and handy to drop it off, make a small donation to Rotary, and if you want, you can even see your personal documents, those confidential documents go right into the shredder.
Right. Yeah, it's a solid fundraiser for you. I tell a friend of mine, she belongs to Rotary in Vancouver, and theirs is not as successful as Port Moody's, that's for sure. So.
Well, and so the Rotary Club of Coquitlam also does a Shreddathon, and they'll do theirs at, and you'll find the information for these particular events on the web pages and the Facebook sites of all of these clubs. So it's really easy to keep track of what's going on. So Shreddathon is a fundraiser for them as well. So our second major fundraiser for the Rotary Club of Port Moody is Search for the Perfect Pint. And that is a lot of fun.
That's you too.
That's
Got
us too.
it.
So when you think of Port Moody, or some of us do, we think of craft beer. And but
I feel like you're getting it covered here. We got shred your personal documents.
Yeah.
If you're a meat lover, go to RibFest.
Right.
And
if
if
you
you want craft beer, along with Brewers Row, we're gonna also bring that to you too. So you're hitting all of these little targeted areas. So you're gonna go ahead.
Say one thing about Search for the Perfect Pint, because we have received wonderful support from our local craft brewers. But this event's a little bit bigger than that. We get breweries from around the region. And so if you love craft beer, it's a great taste to sample quite a number of them.
So 400 volunteers for the RibFest. And then these other signature events and things must also ask for volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
Is it hard nowadays, do you think, to get people out and get them to do the work? And, people are very busy. What are you finding?
I think people want to come out and help. And if the scope of what you're asking of them is defined and maybe it's not too much, people are happy to come out and help. People are really, they leave RibFest or other events after volunteering for a weekend with a smile on their face. Where the challenge is, not only in an event like that, but within clubs itself, is for people to take on these larger leadership roles. You know, the kind of job where it doesn't really end at 4 o'clock. You have to go home and you're thinking, how am I going to solve that problem?
Right.
And that's really where the challenge is to get people to move into leadership. That's also the opportunity of Rotary. If you are interested in developing those leadership skills, it's a great place to do that.
Right. So why should someone join Rotary?
So I think people have a very traditional view of Rotary, that it means sort of a more exclusive network related to the business community. And I think it also is an important place, a valuable place where people can network, but we network in different ways, particularly in a virtual reality. We communicate and connect with each other far differently. So in my mind, in my experience, and I think this is key about Rotary, is you can pretty much make the experience your own. It's about service, so we want to actually do something in the community, whether it's a very small project, maybe it's going out one Saturday morning and removing invasive plants, you know, or fighting polio on a global scale.
Right.
And it's really everything in between. So you've got that opportunity for service. And then what brings people together doing that work is that opportunity to connect with each other. So you forge relationships and you build connection, and in doing that you have fun. So I would say the networking is still the piece, but for me it's service, it's connection, and it's fun.
And are you actively looking for members? How do you guys do that?
Simply come to a meeting. So there's a couple of ways of going at that. One, if you look at Rotary International, you simply go on their website and you can enter your information and it will filter down through some sort of system to local clubs.
Yes.
But you can also go to tricitiesrotary.org. You'll find links to all of the clubs. And so you can find out a little bit more about the clubs, or you might say, I like mornings, so you see that Port Moody and Coquitlam Sunrise are morning clubs. Coquitlam has their meeting at lunch. Port Coquitlam does their meeting in the evening. Or maybe I want to be involved in RibFest, or I want to be more involved in mental health, or I really like the repair cafe, or you maybe live in a certain area. So if you have a particular club that you're interested in, you'll find contact information and you can simply connect, come to a meeting. And it's important, I think that's really important. Come and experience a meeting. Find out what club members are doing and whether that's the right fit for you.
So you're the assistant governor.
Yes.
So within these clubs, let's start with the club itself. For example, there's a club, you're going to have a membership chair, you're going to have do you call it the president of the club?
President,
a vice president, a secretary treasurer. Then I know like similar to Optimus, for example, there's a governor of that particular region, you're an assistant governor. So tell me a little bit about your job and what that involves.
So my job, I tell everyone it's the best job in Rotary. Because if we look at the way Rotary is structured, one, it's a global organization. So there's a president of Rotary International.
Right.
And 2 years ago, the first woman president of Rotary came from Canada.
Wow. But it wasn't the first woman though, was it?
First woman president.
In Canada.
Yes, she was a Canadian. Jennifer Jones.
She was the very first woman president ever.
Of Rotary International, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just 2 years ago?
Yes, 2 years ago.
Only.
Well, women have been involved in Rotary for
I
decades,
know.
but the international president, and prior to that, one of the most senior persons in Rotary, a Rotary director, was a lady by the name of Dean Roars, who's a member of the club in Langley. So we've had a lot of influence. But you were talking a little bit about governance and structure of Rotary. So nationally, or globally, we have Rotary International. And then Rotary across the world is divided into districts.
Right.
And so we're a member of District 5050, which actually is 50 clubs.
Right.
Half of them are, in our particular case, are in the United States, starting just north of Seattle, and going all the way to Hope. And then the clubs in Burnaby and Vancouver, they're actually in another district in 5040. So in charge of that area is a district governor. And then at the club level, you've got a president.
Right.
Now the president of Rotary International the district governor and the Rotary presidents, they all work terribly hard. It's a big job leading those organizations. So my job, it's the best one. So I work with the 4 clubs in the Tri-Cities.
That's great.
My job is just to be a coach, to facilitate, to try and enhance communication amongst the clubs. And so it's a job that I love, because it's really great working with the clubs. There's such a high level of enthusiasm and this willingness to cooperate.
Right, right. And do you have any membership drives?
That's a very good question, in the sense that we don't have particular drives. We have a membership month. We talk about membership all the time. A lot of what I would say our initiatives around membership tend to be one-on-one. You and I have a coffee, we have a conversation about Rotary, and that sometimes leads to you coming to a particular meeting. And then, we do a fair bit of communication about joining Rotary, so the information is there. If you go online, you look at it, but we recognize that's a pretty passive approach. People look at stuff online, sometimes you click, sometimes you don't.
Right.
So we do talk about Rotary, but a membership drive, we're going to have to look a little bit more at that.
You should look at that.
Yes.
Now, earlier when you came in, I love your shirt, The Magic of
Yes.
Rotary. It reminded me of Disney. I said it's
Yeah.
very fun and playful. And, Rotary in my world, and I'm older now, but like it seemed like more of a retired group of
Yes.
people that got together. What are you guys doing to change that and to bring in a little bit more of a youthful sort of appearance, if you will, or inject some diversity into the clubs? Primarily the Tri-Cities ones.
Right. So a big part of that is communication, trying to connect with people with stories, sort of really telling a story about, we're actually a group of people who seek action. I don't mean like action movie, but we want to do things that are constructive. So finding ways of telling our stories, recognizing that life is different for busy people. So changing the way that Rotary is structured to allow people with different kinds of schedules, different kinds of needs to become involved.
Okay, and so every year do you have a different theme? Is that why
So
it's
the
the
theme-
magic of Rotary now, or how does that work?
Yes, so these are called presidential themes. So the neat thing about Rotary is leadership changes every year. At
Right.
the club level,
Yes.
there's a new president. You don't have the same president for 5 or 6
Right,
years.
exactly.
Because some of the things that we're interested in, like polio, has been a 25 or more year venture, right? So these goals are sustained, but our leadership changes every year. So we
Right.
try and inject sort of a little bit of energy in the club. So with that is a presidential theme. So this is the theme for this year, the magic of Rotary.
Right.
Stephanie Yurchuk, who's a woman from the United States, she's our president this year. So this is her theme. And so she really talks about the ability of Rotary to be transformational, to really make a difference in Rotary. So, and I think her example was in an area where there was limited access to clean water. Rotary came in and invested in a water project. Magic, not really, but magic, there was clean water available for that particular village.
Right.
And so that's,
Are we talking about a village in Kenya?
well, our club operates in Kenya. I think in this particular case, the story originates in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
But our club, so in terms of projects that our club has, because we've got all sorts of local projects, but we're also involved in a water and sanitation project in Kenya. We're involved in an education project in Belize, and we're involved in a health project in Ecuador. And so that's another advantage of Rotary, because you can join a club and really be immersed at the local level, doing street cleanups, participating in the Shreddathon, serving beer, or you can find yourself connected to a project in another part of the world.
And honestly, like last night at dinner, it was, we're doing a fundraiser. We need clean water in Kenya. My Rotary Club is putting this together. That's
Yes.
exactly what my friend said to me, the one that's out of Vancouver, and
Right.
and here we are talking to you today, and I think that you're right. You can join Rotary and clean a particular street in your neighborhood. In the Tri-Cities, you can be a part of a larger thing like a RibFest with 40,000 people,
Right.
or you can help raise funds for clean water in these other countries on an international level. So
Right.
I think that we all have a love language, and I think that every step of the way, whether you are cleaning the street or being involved in search for the perfect pint or whatever, the love cup gets full and your passion
Right.
becomes more and more,
Right.
because you're doing what you're capable of doing
Right.
for the time that you have as a volunteer.
Right.
Yeah. Would you say that
I would
that's
say
sort of,
so.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And we've got a little fuel for that love cup because Rotary globally has what's called the Rotary Foundation,
Yes.
which is recognized as being one of the most efficient fundraising foundations in the world. And in view of it has very, very limited administrative expenses. So if you donate $1 to the foundation, $1
They
comes
match it.
out.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you're a local club and say you want to do some work in Kenya or Belize or South Africa and you raise $10,000, you then get access to funds at the district level and at the international level, tripling your money. So it's a great way for clubs who maybe are small clubs who actually don't have a lot of resources,
Right.
but they've got a passion to make a difference. They can access those funds and make an even bigger difference.
So how can people find out? I know you gave us a website earlier, but if you're looking to become a volunteer or want to be part of Rotary, where can people get a hold of you?
So tricitiesrotary.org,
Mm-hmm.
that will take you directly to any one of the 4 Rotary clubs in the area.
Right.
People could get in contact with me.
Right. And then you'll pass them on to the
And
membership
then,
chair
yeah.
or whomever. Yeah.
And so, one of the, in terms of my role, we can have that conversation about, well, where do you live? What does your schedule look like? What are your particular interests? And so there might be a club that, looks like a better fit for you.
Right.
Or maybe a couple that you want to go and
check
meet
out.
with and check
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
No, I like that. I like that a lot. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us today?
Well, I just want to, I can go back and talk just a little bit about Tri-Cities, the community TV, what an asset they were to RibFest. So if you're at RibFest, you may have noticed the big screen, and it's really fun to watch, particularly if the bands are playing. We get some great close-up shots. It really brings a concert kind of feel to the venue, which is very much appreciated. And also, in terms of our Rotary message, we worked with Tri-Cities TV in terms of creating some content, so that between bands, there's information on the screen. And so it's a good way to talk about Rotary, and it's a good way for our sponsors, who we appreciate very much, to have their message imparted during the course of RibFest.
Right, and since we're just talking quickly about RibFest, did you have a favorite rib?
We have worked with the large traveling rib organizations for a number of years, and they are really good to work with. They've been very supportive of our initiative. But we're pretty fortunate to have a local guy here as well, and so I really like the food that Rusty prepares. And going to a Rotary RibFest is kind of an exclusive opportunity to taste some of Rusty's food, because he mostly participates in competitive kind of rib events, and for the larger scale rib events, it's just Port Moody and Langley Rotary events that you can sample his food.
That's amazing. So Rusty's, it's come out now. You've said it.
Yeah,
you're leaning towards that, right?
All right, I'm going to go.
We're not going to put down the other rivers at all,
bullet.
but
It's a very competitive environment. What struck me about our rib judging competition, and it's actually kind of interesting to watch, is just how seriously these guys take it. It's actually a big deal, and our umpire in chief is Mike Clay, who's the former mayor of Port Moody. Moody.
Yes.
And you need to watch Mike in action
Oh, I bet.
because he takes this very, very seriously. And it's a lot of fun to watch. We have 3 competitive classes. One is for best ribs, one is for best sauce, and the other one is the people's favorite.
Oh, okay.
And so we're canvassing the locals as to what was their favorite.
Great.
Yes.
Great. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
We heard from Glenn Brown today, the Assistant Governor of the Tri-Cities Rotary Clubs, right here in our backyard. I'm hungry now for more ribs. I'm hoping to be a judge next year for RibFest. But we also learned, more importantly, about all the different activities and volunteer opportunities that Rotary does here in the Tri-Cities. If you're interested in learning more, or perhaps you'd like to volunteer, whether it's an hour a week or an hour a month, please look them up on their website at tricitiesrotary.org. And we'll leave you today with some testimonials that we shot with some Port Moody Rotarians.
I'm Paul Mitchell-Banks. I'm with the Port Moody Rotary Club. I've been a Rotarian for 24 years, and I've been in 4 clubs. And the thing that constantly amazes me about Rotary is that we both think and act globally and locally. Locally, we've been involved in so many projects here that when we were shortlisted for the Tri-Cities NGO, I couldn't go through all the projects we'd done locally in the time clip that they permitted me. So we've supported Innovisions. We send dozens of kids to Camp Jubilee. We've supported sports teams. Internationally, we have observer status at the United Nations. We've set up peace institutions all over the world. We have a very extensive international student exchange program. I grew up in a house where we had 18 exchange students come through us. And we also have something called Rotary World Help. And this is all run by volunteers. And over the time that this organization has been in place, we've shipped 456 shipping containers with a value of $150 million to 61 countries. Rotary is all about great things.
Hi, my name is Victoria. I live in Port Moody. I'm so proud to be a member of the Port Moody Rotary Club. Rotary is where we want to be. It's an amazing opportunity to impact lives, starting right here in Port Moody and spreading out to all over the world.
Hi, my name's Dr. Joan, and I'm part of the Port Moody Rotarian Society. I find that being a Rotarian is similar to being a family doctor. I can use my skills to help people locally and all over the world. I also can bring myself satisfaction and satisfaction to others. Thanks very much and have a great day.
Hi everyone, my name is Steve Widiak and I've been a Rotary member for 25 years. I've also been doing community service since 1984 with other service organizations. I am so proud to be a member of the Port Moody Rotary Club. We're also known as the Hugging Club, so everyone hugs when they welcome each other into the club. And some of the projects I have helped with have been book club for some of the elementary students, as well as helping with the Interact Club, which is a junior Rotary Club ages from 14 to 18 years of age. And just helping these young individuals do fundraising for the Tri-Cities has been a passion of my heart, and I just enjoy all the work Rotary does, not only in the Tri-Cities, but globally as well. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Darrell Burnham. I'm a long-term member of the Port Moody Rotary Club. I've been in Rotary for over 30 years. It's been my pleasure to be involved with the club. I've met so many wonderful people who are passionate about helping the community here as well around the world. One example of that is that I remember going to South Africa as part of a Rotary mission in 2011, and we went to a hospice. And every bed and all the medical equipment in the hospital has been supplied through hospitals that are donated through Rotary World Help. But the hospice in South Africa had a problem. People were getting better. They were able to get their medications, get support, and are walking out the doors. So unlike hospice around here, people are recovering. But that's what's Rotary about, to help people move forward in their lives here and globally. So enjoy your day.
Hi, I'm a relatively new member to Rotary. I've joined within the last year. I really enjoy the community spirit that Rotary has in Port Moody with all of our events, especially things like RibFest. That's what first drew me to Rotary, and all of the other community events that we take place in, that we assist with. I think it's just a really good way to give back to the community, and that's why I joined Rotary.
Hi everybody. I'm a relatively new Rotarian. I've just joined a couple of years ago, and I joined to make a difference, and our club definitely makes a difference. We have a wide variety of community programs that we participate in, and we also participate in some very significant international programs. We are members of Rotary World Help, which is a British Columbia club-based organization that is absolutely phenomenal. You can Google Rotary World Help and find out the amazing projects that we're involved in. And also you can go to Rotary International. And there are a lot of things that we focus on, but one of the particular ones that I'm overly impressed with is the work that we've done with polio. In addition to working with the World Health Organization and the Gates Foundation, we've virtually eliminated polio, and that is an absolutely astonishing accomplishment. The logo for this year is the magic of Rotary, and I can assure you that we are involved in magic. Have a good day.
Hello, I'm Vida. 40 years ago, I was invited to breakfast, and I was amazed to learn about Rotary. And at the time, they had the unbelievable idea that they were going to eliminate polio from the world. And I thought, you know, I have to be part of this. And so I joined, and we are now down to this close. And in the meantime, I have had so many adventures with Rotary around the world and in my local community. And I've made wonderful friends and clubs that I've been involved with, and I am a devout Rotarian.
My name is Alan. I've been a Rotarian for a few years. The reason I joined Rotary is to become part of the community. Everyone wants to have a sense of community and belonging and awareness and impact in what they're doing. Rotary is a great stepping stone into getting into developing your community and hosting huge events like the RibFest that you are attending now. Have a great day.
I'm Mike, and I'm a proud member of the Port Moody Rotary Club, and I'm so thrilled to be part of Rotary International, an organization of thousands of clubs, over 1 million people around the world doing what we're doing right here in Port Moody. We're serving the community, we're bringing people together in fellowship and work to support what's going on around our town and in our global community. Events like RibFest, where we've got thousands of people coming together, enjoying some fellowship, friendship, and some good food. And that's what Rotary is about, bringing people together and serving. Really proud to be a member of Port Moody Rotary Club and looking forward to more members joining us.
Hi, my name is Gail, and I have been with the Rotary Club of Port Moody for 25 years. And it's absolutely a fabulous organization that helps people all over the world. I've been to Belize and South Africa and volunteered in those places and helped people get into a wheelchair that they were crawling on the ground before. And I also love the way our Port Moody Club is friendship. And we all have great friendships and help each other and help people in the community. It's a great organization.
Hi, I'm Cleon. I started Rotary 26 years ago, and I love it. I love how we help communities locally and internationally. I love being in a developing country and doing an educational program on essentially a dirt floor and seeing the kids work on a computer and going, I got it, I got it. I love helping teach somebody how to sew and create an organization that they can make reusable menstrual kits so people aren't having to use grass and leaves. I love seeing somebody go in a wheelchair that hasn't had a wheelchair. Rotary's fantastic. I'm in it for life.
My name is Ian. I'm a part of the Rotary Club of Port Moody for the past 11 years. We're a club that brings people together. And some of the things that I love about Rotary is that it aspires to be an organization that makes people better and to helping people most in need. My passion is international. We help a lot of people locally, but I've recently come back from Ecuador where we did a project that's prevention for hip dysplasia in infants. And when you see mothers crying over the fact that we can provide a solution to their baby and avoid a tremendous amount of trouble for them, it's incredibly rewarding.
I'm Dale Bryant. I'm not with the Rotary Club of Port Moody, but I'm with the Nothing Dragon Paddling Society, which receives funding from the Rotary Club of Port Moody to enable us to take kids out to paddle in the water with seniors. This is something that happens in Port Moody. It's a great experience for them. Kids enter the boat sullen and sometimes feeling isolated. They get off the water boisterous and excited. The transformation of the kids when they go out for one of these dragon boat experiences is just amazing. Thank you so much to Rotary Club for making this happen.